Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Spoiler alert, the Boyz 2 Men version is playing at a cemetery site as the following hour starts, and Rak is seen discreetly brushing away a tear as she watches the service from a distance, daydreaming about a different life and what might have been. Alright, so I'm not really sure if that song existed at this point in the series, but the main point is that Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 Episode 5 marked the passing of an original character and was as revolutionary as any other episode in the Power universe. Is it really already the middle of the season? A Power series just seems to have to go by quickly, and this season is no exception. It has definitely been building to something, even though it has occasionally been a touch slow. It has been a gradual journey for Kanan to become a supervillain, and that's exactly how it should be. The fun part here is seeing him get there, because we already know where he's headed. It's good that Kanan, despite moving to the suburbs with Rak, hasn't let up on his hard work. Even though he's never really followed the rules, you would think that the potential legal repercussions would force him to change things. However, he's still at work, hanging around on the streets, and avoiding Rak at all costs. Rak wanted Kanan back under her roof, but it's looking more and more like she didn't consider all the options. She appeared to have underestimated Kanan's stubbornness, and now she realizes that the control she battled to regain isn't actually there. Although Kanan is trying to separate himself from his mother, pushing Famous away seems to be our first true indication of how he would later behave toward others in his vicinity. It seems that Kanan has forgotten that he was the one who essentially coerced Famous to collaborate with him, and that he is now being extremely cruel to Famous since he isn't meeting his expectations. At his core, he was a decent friend, but being Famous comes with a lot of baggage, including being distracted and lazy, among other things. At least he was to Kanan, but it seems that doesn't matter anymore because the business has taken precedence over a friendship that would last a lifetime. I don't want to hear that Kanan Stark cared about Tarek because all he did was repeatedly exploit him and put him in danger. He didn't care about anyone but himself. Out of self-interest, he attempted to set him up against Ghost. That is a lack of concern for someone. Kanan was exposed to a life as a child that included drugs, violence, and death, but it also included love. Even though they were dysfunctional, Rak, his uncles, and his cousin all adored Kanan, despite Rak's perverted affection. Hell, even Howard has been expressing to him his willingness to assist if possible. While no one is abandoning Kanan, we do see that his unwavering focus on his career is having an impact on his relationships, beginning with Famous. Additionally, I sense that Kanan's pursuit of Aisha will run into some problems. Was Jukebox ever happier before joining Buddha, in your opinion? Her smile seems to be permanent, and it's encouraging to watch her feel comfortable with who she is. Not that Jukebox's self-doubt has vanished overnight, but you can tell that she is beginning to trust herself more now that she has been informed of her abilities. She's beginning to feel more confident, and Aisha looks to be the ideal group member for her to connect with. On the walkway, there appeared to be a moment when the two clicked. Even Marvin could see that, but Jukebox approved of Kanan talking to Aisha, and I just have an awful feeling about how it will turn out. It seems like Kanan will have burned a lot of bridges by the time Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 ends, and we'll see him go in that direction. Is Kanan unintentionally ruining Jukebox's greatest moment? That most surely explains why future Jukebox is leading a very different existence and isn't playing Madison Square Garden as the main act. As an aside, it will sting like crazy if Jukebox's situation deteriorates and her and Marvin's newly formed friendship and understanding are also negatively impacted. Marvin keeps demonstrating what it means to shift your perspective and improve your life. It's a load of bullshit to think that nobody can change, as never allowing someone to demonstrate their ability to change. Occasionally, things don't work out, but what if they do? What would happen if someone genuinely made the effort to improve? It was all so precious and real when Marvin made fun of Jukebox as soon as she got in the car. Although Marvin has made mistakes in the past, he is working hard to get better, and Jukebox is everything but stupid. If she didn't genuinely believe that Marvin was sincere, she wouldn't be as welcoming of him now. Marvin hasn't given up on Jukebox either. Additionally, he is deftly attempting to impart his optimistic outlook on Lulu and Rak, who are equally unyielding. This season, Rak and Lulu have been completely apart, which has been really strange because their tales have always been so interwoven historically. However, Lulu needed this time apart to discover what he wanted, and he did so at Cafe Vu. In this case, let's be honest, the plot isn't the most engaging. I support Lulu in his quest for purpose and in his continued immersion in the music industry since it appears to be the only thing that truly brings him true happiness. However, I would be lying if I claimed I didn't miss spending time with the Thomas family. If there was ever a moment for the family to unite again against a shared foe, it might be now, as the second half of the season approaches. Because Ronnie has to go. In the previous 3 hours, Ronnie has gone from 0 to 100, willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal of uncovering lies and getting a job. On the one hand, I can see why Ronnie hasn't trusted anyone's word about anything. After a long absence, he's back in what seems to be a completely different world. In his imagination, Unique lost what he created, and to make matters worse, he's now friendly with someone who was once his worst nemesis. He finds it puzzling, which makes perfect sense. However, it is inexplicable that he is unwilling to have even a modicum of faith in his brother. From the beginning, he has been resisting Unique, and nothing that we know about their relationship indicates that Ronnie couldn't previously trust Unique. And he's now been truthful with Ronnie. He isn't lying to him about the new business prospect or about Rack's withdrawal from the game. Although Unique appears to genuinely want to assist Ronnie, Ronnie refuses to accept it. Unique was introduced as the main antagonist in Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 1, and he did a good job in that capacity. Until Pernessa tossed some of the items between him and Rack in his face during their disagreement, I had honestly half forgotten about them. Unique is fortunate to have survived as long as he did in many respects. That can't be how he expected things to turn out, though, because his brother just took him out. Unique's intelligence has always been one of his traits. Even though he knew Ronnie had killed Dean, he began to realize that murdering him was not an option and that Dean would not be someone he could easily handle. He never would have turned his back on him otherwise. It's fascinating because Ronnie's death of Unique did seem spontaneous, especially in light of their earlier conversation in which Juliana advised him to kill Unique without saying so. Ronnie seemed to have Unique's back during that exchange. As long as it helped him get a job, he was happy to distance himself from Unique, but his insistence that Unique wouldn't be leaving sounded like a way of saying, "I'm not him, but that's still my brother." But the moment Ronnie feels disrespected, his reasoning is completely lost. The straw that broke the camel's back was Unique's attempt to put him in his place, and Ronnie lost it. Though she wasn't a really good person who was on this show, nevertheless, he was a crucial component of the narrative, and his bond with Rack was particularly meaningful for both characters since it allowed them to be more than just violent tyrants. Main character deaths have never been avoided in the Power universe. Shannon Burke was the one we previously had one with. However, this one seems significantly more important, particularly because it makes Ronnie a supervillain. Everyone ought to be afraid of Ronnie because he would stop at nothing to get back what he believes is rightfully his.